A little over a month ago, I was sitting upstairs and I thought to myself, you know what? I haven't made a short film in like 6 months. I've been so busy lately with my film job, my job, and my YouTube review hobby, not job, but someday maybe, that I just wasn't in the headspace to write and direct a short film again. The last one I did, I don't even like that much, and I haven't even put out yet, which is a bad habit, by the way. Put your stuff out no matter what. But I'm a filmmaker, and when you're a filmmaker, you want to be making films. So I finally decided it was time to get off my ass and go out and shoot something. But in order to do that, I was gonna have to sit back on my ass and figure out what I was actually going to shoot. Not just what I was going to shoot, but how I was going to shoot it. It just so happens that while I was starting to have these thoughts, my mom was on Facebook, because she's old, and she found out that Grand Rapids, the city I live in, was having their annual film festival. And I was like, wow, a film festival? It'd be cool to do one of those again. Here's the catch. I had 1 month before submissions would close, and I would have absolutely zero chance of getting into that festival. That is not a lot of time. So I was like, okay, either I can accept that I'm probably not going to make a movie in time to get into this festival, and I should just focus on sitting down, writing a decent short, taking my time, and just submitting next year. Or I can try and make a short film as quickly as I possibly can. I ended up going with the latter option, which I'm not going to say is the best, but if you want to challenge yourself and you feel like you work best under pressure, which I feel like that, then this isn't the worst option, but you have to be serious about it and you need to be somewhat logistical about it. So after that decision, I basically just started doing things. It got me into this mindset of like, I'm going to do whatever I need to do to make this short film happen, and I made it happen, and I did it in 3 weeks. Now, when I say I did it in 3 weeks, I don't mean that I actually finished the movie. What I mean is I wrote my script, picked a shoot date, got some people to be in it, assembled a crew, got my location, got my equipment, and then got everybody there to shoot a movie, all within the course of 3 weeks. This was very chaotic and probably not the best way to make a short film, but it did get me moving and it did teach me a lot, and also it was just a lot of fun. It got me back into this like creative flow, like, oh my god, I'm working on my movie. So if you're a filmmaker and you feel like you haven't done anything in a while and you just want to get back out into the field, here's a step-by-step process that I've used that helped me to do that. This isn't a step-by-step process that I was thinking about while I was doing it, but having had a few weeks to look over what I did, these are the steps that I took that I think led me to making what I ultimately think is a pretty decent short film within a very small time crunch. So take it for what it's worth, if anything. So this part is pretty self-explanatory. I decided I wanted to write a script, and so the next morning I woke up and I pounded out the first thing that came to my head. When you're free associating like that, you're usually going to end up writing about something that's pretty close to your own experience, which personally, as a writer, I think is a good place to start. When I watch the behind the scenes of most movies that I love, that's what the screenwriters talk about, how they use the circumstances of their lives to create wholly new characters and stories. So since I was writing from experience and writing from emotions that were pretty fresh, this ended up being a breakup movie. I don't think I have to elaborate on that, you get it. After I wrote the first draft, I sat back and I read through it, and I was like, damn, you know what? This is not the worst thing ever. After that, I closed my laptop, went through the entire day, didn't think about what I had written at all, got up the next morning, sat back down, opened my laptop back up again, reread the script again, and I was like, despite the fact that it's barely comprehensible from all my spelling and grammar errors, still not a terrible scene at all. I read it and I genuinely thought, hey, this could work. I would like to see this on film. So after a quick editing session, I sent it over to an actor friend of mine named Preston, who I'd acted with recently in a student film at GVSU. Which, if you're a director and you want to get good at directing actors, go act. Take a class, be in a short film, get that perspective, because it is going to help you a lot. He eventually got back to me after reading it, and he seemed very enthusiastic about it, actually, which, hey, maybe the guy just wanted to be in a film again, but Hey, I'm here. You want to do that? I'm right here. Let's do it. So great. I had an actor. Now I needed an actress. Luckily for me, the person I had in mind for this role was someone I already knew from film school. I sent them the script and they agreed to do it. It was that simple. I'm aware it's not going to be that easy for everyone because not everyone has been on projects yet, or they haven't been to film school, so you don't already have those established connections with people who are into what you're doing. So I would recommend just putting something up on Instagram, Facebook, Backstage. Backstage is a good one. Or you can just cast your friends if they're comfortable with being on camera and you write roles that you think they can do. I guess that was sort of 2 steps in one, but that's okay. Let's move on to step 2. One of the biggest struggles I have in filmmaking and just in life is getting myself to take action. I have a lot of passion and a lot of ideas and a lot of ambition, but with that I also have a lot of anxiety, fear, and resistance. I have a hard time getting myself to act because I fear failure. But something I've learned from film school and basically every set I've been on with William Baker is that the only way you can fail is by not doing the thing that you feel called upon to do. I feel called upon to make movies and be creative. I need it basically as much as I need to breathe or take a piss. So recently I've started doing this new thing. When I start a project, before I have everything laid out, before I even know I can accomplish what I want to accomplish, I set a date. I give myself a hard deadline, whether it's when I need to shoot, write, edit, post a video, whatever. I set that self-imposed deadline. Setting this deadline for myself gets me to move. It provides me with this illusion of there being stakes and high risk to what I'm doing. It causes me to create this narrative in my brain where I'm the main character and I only have a certain amount of time to achieve my goal. If I don't achieve my goal by the time it's time for the credits to roll, I don't have a very happy ending. I like happy endings, and I think we all do. So I sort of just start acting for the plot. I'm like, okay, I gotta take whatever action I have to take in order to make this happy ending plot line make sense. Basically, I do what I always do, which is look at my life as if it's a movie. Don't know if that's healthy, maybe it's a little crazy, but it works. And that's something you hear a lot in filmmaking. If it works, it works. You don't have to question it. This method also kicks the problem-solving part of my brain just right up into high gear. Because if you feel like you need to figure things out, you're going to figure things out. If you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, man, I'm kind of out of shape, and you discover that you genuinely 100% want to make a change, you know what to do. You know you have to go out and start running, or lifting weights, or doing things. Each and every single one of us has enough general knowledge about life to know what we have to do to achieve our goals. And so when you create that urgency, that need to do the thing, your brain figures out how to do the thing. The deadline I set for myself for this project was May 13th. That was the shoot date. That's when I had to have everything figured out. So I had my script, I had my cast, I had my deadline. Now it was time to assemble the team. The first position I sought to fill was sound. When it comes to making your movie not terrible, sound is probably the most important thing. It is even more important than the camera that you have, because you can have the best camera out there, and if your movie sounds like this...
Yeah, can't really be helped though. The people who ran this place were kind of old. Wouldn't be safe.
It doesn't fucking matter. The audience is not going to get over that. Luckily for me, the first guy I asked to do sound on my project said yes. He's my buddy Alejandro. I met him at GVSU doing a student film. He's a cool guy and he did a great job. Thanks, Alejandro. Love you, buddy. After that, I made a list of crew positions that I knew I would absolutely 100% need. Many of the people who I went to school with, or the people who taught me at the school that I went to, would say that you should always approach a production as if it's a full-blown professional feature film. I do not agree with that statement. Do I believe you should have the passion of that? Yes. Do I believe you should always carry a professional mindset? Yes. Do I believe you need an entire crew for a movie that is going to cost you $0 to make and is also basically just one scene? No, I do not. But there are some crew positions that I think are absolutely essential, and those positions are first AD, script supervisor, first AC, second AC, and obviously sound. Sound is really number one, but I already talked about that. I don't have cinematographer on that list because I feel like most of us indie directors tend to do our own cinematography, or at least we can, so it's not a thing that you need. But as a director, you're not going to be able to catch the continuity errors that a script supervisor can catch, and you're not going to be able to run a set like the first AD can run the set. You need to delegate those responsibilities. Same goes for first AC, and the same goes for second AC. You need someone to pull focus, and you need someone to hold the slate. Once I had that list made, I basically just started making calls and sending out messages. I've been mingling in the local film scene for a few years now, so I already have those connections set up. If you're not in that position yet, you should just go out and get friends who you know are mature enough to put effort into something that you really care about. I wrote so many pages for that segment, and I think I just basically did a summary of what I wrote, which is a lot better. So that's good. I use a lot of words. I use too many words. Can you hear my dad mowing the lawn out there? Let's hope not. I always think that getting my location is going to be the most complicated part of the production, but for whatever reason, it's always ended up being the most simple. I needed a coffee shop, so I basically went to every coffee shop in my area asking if I could film there. Weirdly enough, basically everyone I asked said yes, but I had to pick one location. There was one place that I really wanted to film at, and that place is a little coffee shop called The Bitter End. It's my favorite coffee spot in Grand Rapids. I love it. It's open 24 hours a day. Coffee's great. And just the atmosphere of the place is totally of its own. It's got this old-fashioned warm feeling that I really like. It's the location I had in my head when I was writing the screenplay. Luckily for me, the manager at Bitter End was really chill, and she was totally down with me and my friends coming to film there. This is a decision that I think she would come to regret later, but we'll get into that soon enough. Some locations are gonna make you pay to film there. That happens, but I've never experienced that because most people just, I don't know, they don't care. Again, it's an indie film production. If you're local, people are going to be chill, by and large, in my experience. But yeah, that brings us to step 5. So I had my script, I had my cast, I had my crew, I had my location, and I had my deadline. I had all those things, but still something was missing. A camera. I needed a camera to make this movie. Okay, so I own a camera, and I even own some lights. I own plenty of film things, actually, but my camera isn't great. It's good, it works for corporate videos, it works for YouTube videos, but it's not great. I wanted to shoot on something great. I wanted to shoot on a Blackmagic cinema camera. Specific, I know, very specific, but trust me, they're good. I do know a guy who has one of those, but I don't think he's in the practice of handing them out. Also, I knew for a fact he was going to be using it that day, so my options seemed kind of scarce. Luckily, though, I did have a resource, if I was going to be good enough with my time to use it. GRTV is a local broadcasting and production service in Grand Rapids, and they have this really cool thing where if you take a class there for a camera, for editing, for whatever, you can borrow the equipment that they teach you how to use for free. Yeah, did you hear me? Did you catch that? For free. No, I don't mean for cheap, for free. For free. Yeah, no, for free. 100% free. The reason I hadn't taken these classes is I am currently working a non-film related part-time job, and though that job has been very good to me and very generous with its hours and letting me do my cool film things, my work schedule just didn't align with GRTV's class schedule. So I ended up spending a little extra money to take a one-on-one class. I got someone to cover my shift for an hour, went to the class, totally aced it because I'm awesome, signed a piece of paper, and boom, I had my camera. Thank you, person who covered my shift. If you're watching this for some reason, I appreciate you. Again, I happen to be in the lucky position where I can get access to a 6K camera if I just apply myself, but not everyone has that luxury. So if you're sitting there with your Canon T6 and you're like, man, why would I shoot anything on this? You're being a dummy head. The counselor at my film school used to always say, every day you own a camera and don't use it is just a waste. I believe that wholeheartedly. So if you own a camera, that camera is good enough. If you can get a better one that's even more good enough, go for it. But if you can't, use that camera and make something. Like right now. Right now, I'm saying pause this video and go make something right now. Actually, don't do that. Watch me first, then go do whatever you want. But watch me. But eyes on me. Me. And subscribe and hit that like button and all that stuff. Okay, I'm done. While I was scourging around trying to get everything together for this movie, I also took the time to have a long Zoom call with my actors rehearsing the scene we were going to be doing. That was a mouthful. This rehearsal went really well, actually. Preston was actually able to point out a hole in my story that I was able to go back and fix that made the short film actually work. So that was nice. Thank you, Preston. I'm glad that you took on the role of editing as well, because I need that. Willow also made some really good contributions. She thought that her current hairstyle didn't fit the character I had written, which was a good point because Willow currently has a mullet, so she suggested that she wear a wig for the role, and I said yes, as long as it looked convincing. She sent me this picture, and I was like, yeah, it looks convincing. I had her show up on set wearing the wig already, and when nobody questioned it, I told them that it was a wig, and they were genuinely surprised. That's when I was like, you know what? This is gonna work. It was a really great character choice that I had absolutely nothing to do with. But only you and I have to know that, no one else has to. Like I said, the rehearsal went really well. We had great conversations about the characters, their motivation, their backstory, their intentions behind the lines, all that stuff. That's actually what I consider to be my strength when it comes to directing. I'm really good at working with my actors and getting performances out of them, and also just building a good relationship. Everyone has fun on my sets. I mean, at least they tell me they have fun on my sets. I hope they're not lying. If it's torture, stop doing it. I wish I had gotten more rehearsal time with them just because that's always better in my opinion. Preston was in the middle of his last stretch of school before summer break, and Willow was busy with her job and the prep for her own short film, actually. And then you had me scrambling to get everything ready for the 13th. So things didn't really align for us to do multiple rehearsals before the shoot. I know that I've said it so much, it's kind of becoming a theme of this video, but Willow and Preston are two very experienced actors, and they did amazing work for me. So again, I lucked out. What can I say? Wow, it has gotten dark out. Hello. So May 13th finally rolled around, and it was time to get that camera rolling and shoot this motherfucker. That's what my lighting instructor at my school said. Shoot the motherfucker. So I'm saying it now. So if you don't like that, blame him, not me. I don't have a whole lot to say here because by and large production went pretty smoothly. The Blackmagic battery was somewhat of an issue. Blackmagic batteries don't last very long, they don't. So usually you use an external battery to power it, which is what I did. But unfortunately, GRTV only supplied me with one instead of two, so rather than having a good system where I would let one charge and have one on the camera, I just had one on the camera, and when that one died, well, time for lunch. The camera did die during a shot once, which was that sucked. But it also served as a good reminder to me that if we wanted to get things done on time, we had to speed things up. So everything happens for a reason, it's fine. Something that I feel I should really note real quick is that as small and laid back as this production was, we ended up causing much more of a disturbance to the cafe's daily flow of operation than I ever meant or intended to. That was a mouthful. You can tell I'm nervous because I'm using a lot of words again. I somehow managed to overbook this really small shoot, and we took up a lot more space, and I didn't even know I was going to have the Blackmagic until a few days before shooting. Some customers apparently complained, and I do regret that. I could tell that they were really irritated because they eventually turned the overhead music back on, which I thought was a subtle but not so subtle way of telling us to get the fuck out. But I think it was deserved, honestly. Do be careful about that when you're making movies, by the way. I went back to that location later and sort of smoothed things over with the manager. I apologized and said that I didn't anticipate that it was going to get so out of hand. It was a fault of mine as a director for not keeping my set under control, and they forgave me. They were cool, but be careful with that because you want to have a good reputation and you want to treat the people who are helping you with kindness. And yeah, I felt bad. I did. But got the footage. I also want to note real quick that a few days before the shoot, I went out and shot some test footage with the Blackmagic to make sure everything was working properly, which I would highly recommend you always do. And I did discover that the memory cards that GRTV gave me were not formatted for a Windows, which is what I own. They were formatted for a Mac. So I ended up just buying my own Samsung T7 and that fixed the problem. That ended up being really good because if I was unable to put the footage I was getting that day onto my laptop, I probably would have had a mental breakdown. So always make sure that your memory card is formatted for your computer. That's a good practical note, I think. After everything was all said and done, I sat down again and started assembling my rough cut. How is everything going? I would say pretty damn good. There's definitely a lot of work to be done, especially with the audio. Alejandro did a great job, but we were filming in a live cafe, so there's some stuff that we just couldn't really avoid, like people walking in, background conversation, and stuff like that. I had a backup location, and in theory, for sound, it might have been less of a headache to shoot there, but I just really liked the look of the bitter end, and I decided, you know what, I'll deal with it. That was a personal directorial decision that I made. You might make a different one, but honestly, I think I made the right choice. If I can fix it, which I think I can. I think I can do it. Maybe that's a video, I don't know. But I guess really at the end of the day, you guys are gonna be the judge of how things turned out, so we'll have to wait and see. Like my movie, please. If you're gonna take anything out of this video, let it be this. Just do the thing. Don't think about doing the thing. Don't overthink about doing the thing. Just do the thing. There is a parallel universe where instead of making this short film and talking to you guys about it, I'm still just sitting around too scared to do the thing that I love. I'm really happy that I'm not in that universe right now, and I don't want you guys to be in that universe. It's not a fun universe. I like this one. This one's a good one. Let's stay in this good one. Anyone can make a movie. If you really want to make a movie, you can make a movie. So go out there, make your movie, learn, have fun, and once it's all said and done, go out and start making the next one.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
Anyway, thank you for giving me your attention. Those of you who did, thank you. And please like and subscribe, and I'll do this again someday.